Hello and welcome to the Milan Talk podcast. I'm your host Sumit Paul, and it was one hell of a busy night on Tuesday. In this pod, I'll be looking back at some key moments in the win over Sassuolo, player ratings and your reaction at full time. And of course, I'll offer my reaction on the news that Milan have confirmed Stefano Pioli will stay on and Ralf Rangnick will not be arriving this summer. So let's kick things off with the win over Sassuolo first. Just a couple of key points. I thought we looked pretty sluggish and tired in the opening 10 to 15 minutes. Sassuolo are a very good team and they put us under pressure and looked like they were going to cause us problems. But I think we showed great character and resolve to dig deep and get the win. I'll go into more details on an individual level in the player ratings, but I thought Calhanoglu and Ibrahimovic were brilliant. The suspensions and injuries were a sour note on the night. Of course, we're now without Hernandez and Benacer against Atalanta due to suspension, and Romagnoli's injury. We'll see him potentially now miss the rest of the season. And also just a quick mention for Donnarumma, 200th appearance for Milan. A big night for him, and it was fitting that he ended it with the captain's armband. So that was nice to see. But like I said, we'll go into more details on an individual basis in the player ratings. But I just want to highlight and pick out a couple of key things that I noticed in this game. And one of which was how effective the high press was for us in this encounter. Now, in the first 10 to 15 minutes, I thought we were a bit standoffish. I thought we were a bit sloppy in possession. Sassuolo were causing us problems. But I think the way that we managed to wrestle the game back in our favour and impose ourselves came with the high press. Now, as you can see in this first image, this was actually in the build-up to the first goal. And you can see Kessie and Benacer both deep in the Sassuolo half, supporting the front three. And in this situation, Peloso makes the mistake. Kessie comes across, makes that interception, and it puts us immediately on the front foot in their half. And then obviously Calhanoglu sets up Ibrahimovic. I thought this was really effective. I thought it kind of, like I said, it flipped the game back into our favour in terms of imposing ourselves and getting control, putting the pressure on Sassuolo in possession rather than all the pressure being on us. And I thought that worked really, really well. And then, of course, this second image also shows the same thing with Kessie and Benacer very high up the pitch, pressing high in support to the front three. And again, this led to a very dangerous situation. I think Consigli was the one to give the ball away on this occasion. And this led to Benacer's shot that hit the post. So the high press, I believe, was very, very important in this game in terms of imposing ourselves and getting a control over the game. And just looking at the goals, and I thought there were some real bits of quality involved in both of Ibrahimovic's goals. Calhanoglu, 2 assists, and the first one in this image you can see time and space to pick his head up and assess the situation. And I think this is something that's been missing from Calhanoglu for a long, long time. It comes also with the fact that, depending on his position and his favoured role, I think we're now seeing the best of him because this is his most effective role where he's in central positions, he can find these pockets of space and he's able to pick out the right pass. On this occasion, as you can see, head up, looking in the box, assessing the situation, he sees that one-on-one option at the back post with Ibrahimovic. There is a covering defender who's out of shot actually, but the space is there in between the goalkeeper and the defence, and Calhanoglu spots it. Beautifully flighted ball. Ibrahimovic does brilliantly to, first of all, get himself in a position to get the goal, but also then find the finish with an excellent header. But just overall, real quality, real clinical play between the two of them. I just wanted to highlight Calhanoglu's involvement in that goal, but also Ibrahimovic as well. And also, as we see in the second image here as well, Calhanoglu again on the ball, breaking at the defence, and he takes out 4 players with one pass, beautifully weighted, perfectly into Ibrahimovic's path, slices the defence in half. A quick mention for Rebic, of course, as well, who makes that run across to take Marlon with him, number 3. And Ibrahimovic, again, brilliantly composed, rounds the goalkeeper, finds the finish, and that will put us 2-1 ahead. So, as I said, 2 bits of really important clinical play from Calhanoglu and Ibrahimovic, linking up really, really well, and hopefully we'll see more of that in the last 3 games. And then finally, I just wanted to point out Ibrahimovic's just general movement and impact in the final third and in the box in particular. Now, if you watched the last pod, you will have noticed that I analysed his movement outside of the box and his ability to drop deep, pull the strings, and get the runners around him to do the work for him. That was very effective in previous games, but in this one, his threat actually came in more of a direct manner when he was in the box finding space. He should have actually put this one away. It was a good save, but I think he's probably going to be disappointed that he didn't score. But just the way that he's able to peel off at the back post, find buckets of space at the back post, and almost gets another goal. I just thought Ibrahimovic's play in the box, the movement off the ball was really, really good. And I've said myself, I've criticised him for a lack of movement and kind of slowing things down to a walking pace in recent weeks. But this game actually showed his ability off the ball, the movement, the quality, and of course the finishing. So really impressed with Ibrahimovic in this particular encounter. So moving on to the player ratings, kicking things off with Donnarumma. I've given him a 6 out of 10. As I said, it was a big night for him, 21 years old, and he's making his 200th appearance for Milan already. Didn't have a lot to do, but what I did find really fascinating and important was after he took the captain's armband in the second half, I thought you could actually hear his leadership. He was marshalling his back line, but also encouraging Gabbia, who came on to replace Romagnoli, and I thought that was big. So really impressed with that from Donnarumma. Conte doesn't get a marking. Of course, he limped off pretty early on with a knee injury. Fortunately, the reports today suggested it's not serious, so fingers crossed he's okay. Simon Kjaer gets a 6.5. I thought it was another solid performance from him. Dealt with the threat really well with minimal fuss, showed his experience and just general physicality really well. And his class in defence is making a real difference for us. Romagnoli gets a 6. I thought he actually looked really good in the opening stages, but unfortunately he had to limp off with that injury. That's the first time he's actually been missing all season, so it's a bit of a blow for us. And like I said, I think based on Pioli's comments after the game, I think his season's done, but hopefully he can get himself right for the start of next season if that's the case. Hernandez gets a 6 as well. I thought it was a decent enough effort despite only playing half the game. Got booked, so I was obviously going to miss the Atalanta game, which is a massive blow for us, but again, a decent performance from him. Kessie gets a 6.5. I don't think he was quite as influential best as he has been in recent games, but still solid. Did well to stamp his authority on the game. As I pointed out, I think he was very important in the high press in terms of actually flipping the pressure onto Sassuolo and getting us back into the game. And I think he looked more assertive and in control as the game went on. Same could be said for Benacer. I think it's disappointing again that he's going to be missing against Atalanta now as well. Got the booking, which was a bit sloppy, very sloppy and sluggish in the first half. But similarly to Kessie, I thought he improved as the game went on and they started to run the show a little bit more as it went on. Salamakers gets a 5.5. I think, as you know, you're going to expect from him. He worked hard and always the work rate is spot on, but I don't think there was much quality to his performance individually on this occasion. Didn't really pose much of a threat down the right flank, so a little bit disappointed with him in that regard, but nonetheless, another hard-working performance from him. Calhanoglu gets a 7.5. I think he was regularly involved in our attacking play. He was pulling the strings. As we've seen, set up both goals for Ibrahimovic, and that's 2 goals and 5 assists in his last 3 league outings. So his ability to make us tick and be influential in the final third is a big reason as to why we're looking more clinical since the restart. Rebic gets a 6 out of 10. I think it was a quiet night for him. Again, similarly to Salamakers, he put in a real shift defensively. Work rate was spot on, but the quality just wasn't there in the final third, as we've seen from him in recent games. But still important in the win, so 6 out of 10 for him. Zlatan Ibrahimovic gets a 7.5. Showed his class and composure to grab his brace. His movement, his finishing was top draw, and just overall a really impressive performance for someone who missed the 2 games after the restart due to injury. He's gradually been stepping things up in terms of his fitness since, and he's now just defying the laws, I think, in many ways. The fact that he's 38, playing every 3 days and doing such a great job, I think it's brilliant to see. So that's great from Ibrahimovic. Moving on to the substitutes, Calabria gets a 6 out of 10. I think he was a decent performance for him. I think he stepped in for Conte and did really well. Provided a solid defensive presence on the flank and did his job well. Matteo Gabbia, similarly, I think I've given him a 6.5 only because I think it was just more of a difficult assignment for him to step into that breach with Romagnoli left behind against a very dangerous and attacking Sassuolo side. Got up to the speed of the game really well, looked in control in terms of reading the play, and his distribution was good. So good from him, and hopefully that gives him some confidence to take into the Atalanta game. Biglia and Bonaventura came on too late to get a rating, so finishing things off with Laxalt, I've given him a 6 out of 10. Hard working display, provided some energy and drive down the left side, and I think he can be an important replacement for Hernandez and give us that solidity down the left on Friday night. So just looking at the game as a whole, like I said, another big win, 2 great goals. I thought we showed brilliant character and resolve to dig deep in a really good scrap with a top side. There were some tired legs out there, so that's natural, and hopefully they've got enough time to recover and get themselves right for Atalanta. But Calhanoglu, Ibrahimovic, excellent. Injuries and suspensions sour the night. But ultimately, our superb run of form goes on. Borry Olodemi at Borry Canes, happy for the win, even though it was mostly nervy for the second half. Looking forward to the game against Atalanta. Hopefully we have Romagnoli back for the game. Luca at LSD Italiano, agree. Disappointing to see the 2 suspensions. Need to show more maturity, especially considering the difficulty of the Atalanta game. Fantastic Ibrahimovic Calhanoglu. Kessie looked tired, but still put in a shift. He should have been brought off, not Benacer. Sam at It's Hassam Khan. Needed Ibrahimovic to score another one, but oh well. If Rangnick is out, then we should keep Ibrahimovic for another season. Team chemistry looks better than ever, and it's not just Pioli alone. And then at Usman Amadou 7, Gabia looks good. So as I said, completely agree with all those points, and it's going to be a tough game against Atalanta, especially with the absentees, but let's just try and move forward as best as possible. We've got the confidence and belief behind us, and we need to adopt a kind of next man up mentality, I feel, if we're going to compete at the top level and on multiple fronts. And so it's up to those coming in now to not show nerves and apprehension, to get stuck in and look at it positively and really try and cement their places in the squad moving forward. Now, of course, the night was overshadowed in many ways after the news broke during the game, which was absolutely bizarre in itself, that Pioli is now staying on until 2022. Rangnick will not be arriving this summer. Honestly, my thoughts have been pretty well documented on Twitter and on the website for many weeks now. I've found the whole process and the situation and the way that Milan have dealt with it an absolute mess. From Boban's exit to all the talk of Rangnick being a done deal to constantly reading article after article about supposed transfer shortlists and targets and talks being underway with agents and so already on the way because Rangnick's going to help seal the deal, to talk of Maldini's future and whether or not he was going to stay on. I just always thought that it was ridiculous and so disrespectful to plan ahead with people still in their roles. I understand you have to plan ahead to an extent if you're going to make such changes, and especially with such a short turnaround between campaigns. But I just think it's such a shame the way it was handled, particularly with Ivan Gazidis. I don't think he's covered himself in glory in this situation. Like I said, dating back to the Boban saga to now doing a U-turn, and Rangnick not arriving and now potentially sticking with the same management model that we've got in place. Just a mess, a real mess of it. And I just hope that it doesn't all backfire on us now, because we've left ourselves open and exposed to scrutiny and criticism given the way we've handled it. What I will say on the actual decision though is that I think I've always backed the idea of a proper revolution at Milan. Now, it's 2011 was the last time we won the league title. Since then, we've tried the same thing over and over again, whether it's Seedorf, Inzaghi, Gattuso. We've always stuck with the idea of going with a former player, a homegrown tactician, and look where it's got us. We've not made the type of progress, and we're not competing at the level that we should be after such a lengthy period of time. Yes, we've had our moments. Yes, we've had the odd trophy and kind of cup run, but it's not been enough, and especially in SerieA, we've been way off the pace, constantly battling for Europa League qualification when we should, be in a firmly established top 4 side at the very least. So for me, the idea of a proper revolution from top to bottom with a Rangnick type figure who changes the culture, the philosophy, and the approach of the team, the club as a whole, I think was necessary. But having said that, even though it might turn out to be the wrong decision, I think you cannot ignore what Pioli has done since he arrived in October. He arrived to that hashtag Pioli out even before he signed his contract. I as well was sceptical. I didn't think he was the right appointment. I thought at the time Spalletti was the right man for the job. So that says a lot as well, that I didn't even think Pioli was the right man for the job. But I also think good form comes and goes. So you can't base this decision purely on the fact that we've been exceptional since the restart. So what I do point towards is the mentality change in this group of players and the development of key individuals, which is why I have to say congratulations to Pioli on getting his deal and now being confirmed as the manager moving forward. If you look at the mentality, what I mean by that is the way that we now dominate games, the way that we're on the front foot, the way that we don't bottle certain situations, the way that we go out and try and control games and win games. We're on the front foot, we look positive, we've got an identity and a style of play. All these factors have come and started from the coaching staff and Pioli, and they've kind of filtered down to the players who deserve credit as well, of course. But I think it's a knock-on effect, and that starts from Pioli and what he's implemented. The 4-2-3-1 system, the way that he's playing players in their more natural and comfortable roles. You look at Hernandez, Kessie, Benacer, Calhanoglu, Rebic, all these players have kicked on and developed under Pioli. And that is why I want to focus on actually congratulating him for the job he's done and for him getting the job for another 2 years potentially. So yeah, I want to stress that point of it as well. But again, like I said, I get why many will be disappointed, and I understand why people wanted Rangnick and the whole revolution. But we've come a long way since October, and fingers crossed this is the best choice for the club. Consistency is key. I believe it was Calcio at SWTCFC who pointed out on Twitter, which was an excellent point. We need consistency. Look at Lazio and Atalanta; they wouldn't be where they are without it. As the SWTCFC pointed out in his tweet, we need to stick with Pioli. We've got the foundation. We've built the sort of momentum this season now under him. Let's back him properly in the market. Let's bring players to fit certain roles and certain needs in this system, and let's really back him and give him time to now build on it, and not just panic after 8 games if things aren't going well, sack him and the cycle continues. We've made the decision, so obviously now it's time to just get behind him and hope for the best. And I think what we've seen since he took charge, there's certainly been a lot of progression, and I fingers crossed, like I said, hopefully it's the best choice for the club moving forward. So guys, thanks again as always for your comments and for all your interaction on social media at MilanTalk1 on Twitter and Facebook, MilanTalk.com for loads more opinion and reaction to the game and to the decision to stick with Pioli. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe and share. Leave your comments below on your views and opinions on the win, the form, the decision on Pioli, the decision not to go with Rangnick. I'd love to hear from you and hear what you think on the situation. But season's not over. We've still got 3 games to go. The big run and the impressive run continues. So until Friday night against Atalanta, Forza Milan.